Why is chat disabled? Why is chat disabled? Oh, right. I have to get a new URL for it, don't I? I'm sure there's a better way of doing this. It's playing Crucifix Kiss at me. I'd like to play of the devil, please. I'd like my phone charger to be working, please. Why isn't the game working? There we go. Kind of rude. There we go. And the caption should be good. And we should be all set. Noble Electronics Northeastern HQ. Sublobby A8. Oh, right. Hey, gamers! Welcome back to more Adventures of the Heartbreak Killer of the Devil. Evangeline Morgan. We all love her. Everyone loves Morgan. Whoa. Okay. Well, this is a lot. I've been here before. Sat right here in this lobby, waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor. Could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me. Folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental in the scale of their hubris, they needed to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints. The greatest minds of each generation coming together, just to find the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses. Morgan, is something bothering you? Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. They changed the logo again. Noble Electronics. How's it feel stepping in here? Was it some kind of religious experience for you? It's just the corporation where my father worked. Careful now, or they'll burn you for heresy against the company. You said it again. The company. As if it's a proper noun. Oh, honey. Corporations are more people than people are. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you? So it can't obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that. Is it just a part of the corporate culture? Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is. One of the biggest there's ever been. We mere humans can't hope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are. So imagine what it's like working for them. You live in the company dorms, work in company quarters. Whenever you go, that logo's above your head. You eat, you sleep, and you breathe on Noble's timetable at its discretion. When you spend your whole life inside of it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is. Hi! I love doing the Morgan voice, it's so much fun. To think this is only one room. Sarah anti-corporation swag, she's so smart. Her dad is so smart for making her like that. This complex is so massive that it doesn't even feel man-made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here. That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere. I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here? Probably because of what they do to the ones that get in. I'm kidding. Though I don't have a better explanation. God, these statues are crazy. So much energy. So many people, all so intense. You kidding? It's a Saturday. The place is half empty. But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays? All of the parents do, so they don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Everyone else flips a coin, I guess. All these people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. What could they all possibly be doing? Ugh. Oh no. Oh no, not the 72-hour work week. Wait, is that right? Yeah. Oh my god. Nightmare. 72-hour work week. Ah! Nightmare society. No wonder Morgan likes killing people. Making work for themselves. You can be very cynical, can't you? Yeah, I'm terrible. But that guy over there's just been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood's starting to sour, and if they just send me the first link in their infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'll make them wish. Morgan? That's me! Hey there. Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Eastern Division. Evan Dawes. Evan Dawes. Date of birth, August 1st. Height, 189 centimeters. Weight, 78 kilograms. Blood type A negative. Occupation, cheap supervisor. Android Manufacturing Quality Control. Likes hammocks, calligraphy, and pale ale. Dislikes first dates, conference calls, 5 o'clock shadow. Me too, buddy. Proud of his practiced handshake. Struggles with solving captchas. Me too, buddy. Hair starting to gray. Evan Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. What's the name compared to your place in the hierarchy? I thought he had doll fingers for a second. That might be a job thing. It might be a hand brace because he's designing or coding. Is he a coder or designer? I forgot already. He's quality control. You seem familiar. Have you... I'm David's lawyer. Huh? Oh, then we must have... Apologies. Let me first say just how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else at the company must be going through a lot right now. As if it's a proper noun. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. You're welcome, but it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to a PR or legal right now, our workloads in QA are... Never mind. How can I assist you? Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android. Yes, that is correct. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job. Look at that. It's definitely custom. Gee, you think? Good thing I saw it on an expert. Warm, it goes without saying. Reminds me of the A16 Premiere, if anything. The barcode is clearly printed, no visible defects. But you're right. It doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, they sent you to the right man for the job. Now we just need to go to the right place. Not that far, I hope. It's in the building. In the building. That could mean anything from down the hall to half a day's hike. The production line on B9 should have everything we need. You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters. B9's a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and in what shape or size, and they come down to the basement to see how their sausage is made. They have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests. Smart! So long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets. No need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here. Oh, it's not intellectual property anymore. It's worse. It's a secret worse thing. No kidding. There are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see. And who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way. Clearly, nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it. So, if they try and claim ignorance about anything... it's gonna piss me off. Lead the way! I really like characterizing Morgan as a little sing-songy. As, like, something she's playing up a lot of the time. But, like... Thank you for Morgan voice. Thank you for enjoying it. Basement floor 9. It really is furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But it's pretty rare to see all this in person, you know? Wow, this is really cool. Would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? No problem. I've got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I'll need to figure out where Sarah came from. And why David wanted me to take custody. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime. Morgan? Wouldn't want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. What we got? What's being built out there? Our top-of-the-line brand new bestsellers. The Animate 16. Warm. Looks kind of cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Sing-songy, a good way to low-effort facsimile cheer. Yeah, exactly. Just, like, trying to come across as, like, approachable and kind and nice, and instead it's just like, oh, you're creepier somehow, like this. But, I mean, we know. I'm sure it works. Slows the organic's already tuned metabolic activity to a minimum. That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just mean I'm surprised to see metal. Oh, well, all the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in that process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from Lax Gemini. But how do you get the synthetic and the organic to work together? Oh god, please don't be the... Please don't be the Lax I'm thinking about. Oh no. Oh no, it is, isn't it? Oh my god, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no. Oh no. Very, 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 very bleak, to say the least. How do you get... yeah, it's definitely what I'm thinking of, isn't it? Ugh. Ugh. How do you get the synthetic and the organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began to work on the worm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle, and it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just... right. For 2.0, they worked backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin. But digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you passed an electric current through them? They'd flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for facial expressions. Looked like puppets strung up on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. Terrified. This company sucks shit. You must have figured something out. The A16 wouldn't look out of place on the runway. Thank you. We tried. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just bought out a half dozen of them, but... right. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just need to get a mechanical nervous system to move living limbs. A very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. Oh my god, so they're using cloned body parts to make... I mean, they're basically cloning people and shoving electronics inside them, right? Like, what a horror show. High-precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite. Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Where did that breakthrough come from? Dr. Asher? Partly. He led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the synaptonin... Sorry, the synthetic analog serotonin. That was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Young. Young. Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Young before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade. So Young's collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought. Whatever went into Sarah that makes the android so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Young. Did he partner with her on this? Coffee... Is that a metal detector? There's an arm on the table. An inhaler left out on the desk. Probably a half-dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. What if the Syntonin is the designer drug they killed David with? Oh my god. Let's keep that one in the back of our heads, because that might be it. That would be a really, fitting. DAWs, the inhalers, they're distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah, HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. Well, say what you will about Penny, but she is definitely not the only person out there doing the shit she does. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so you can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you who knows how much in lost efficiency. Go play model employee. Do it now. Go, right now. Do it. Go. Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. I love how the music cut out. Penny is at least hot and honest about it. Not to the people she gets killed. Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. Oh good, organized overdoses. These days. Man, back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years when they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. Popped greens? Yeah, it used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow red after brushing your teeth, and get into your bunk fast. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement. Just like going from torches to the label. She's honest, just carefully selective. Oh, Penny. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust dosage in real time. Overdoses are way down. That's great to hear. The trainees under me don't realize how good they've got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. Oh god. Okay, it's not different. I don't need to dwell on that. Yeah, I know, right? This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If DOS does quality assurance, is this some kind of Android calibration device? That's probably what I'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? She's teeny, Your Honor. God, Penny would love this place. So many ways to kill people here. There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass out on the floor, there are some temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic, there is an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood toward the end. You mean the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place? Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such. But it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red. Oh, right, sorry, I barely noticed it at this point. The color's natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment. Oh my god, they literally engineer it to not look like blood. It's actual blood, they just make it pink. Chromofuge. Manufacturing machinery that processes organic fluids used in the production of warm androids. Removes byproducts, impurities, and pigments from android blood, thereby changing its color from red to pink. I mean, they could have just poisoned him with blood. Would that kill someone? I don't think so. Changing it from blood red to psycho pop pink. Without that chromofuge, your android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. This sucks so extremely bad. Yeah, and this is a product. They're literally just selling people. Oh god. I mean, that's always how Android stuff is, right? But like, it's not even... There's 0 degrees of separation here. I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, no one bats an eye. Danganronpa logic! What do we got on this data pod? Some kind of write-up. Yeah, these are just people. Literally, they are just people. They're literally going backwards from people who are getting cybernetics to robots who are getting organics. It's like the same thing from the other direction. These are just people. And they're making so much money selling them. Ugh, it's bad. On the subject of Sullivan's Peak, much of our world today, and in fact much of our world's economy, is heavily influenced by the Uncanny Valley. The thought experiment provides a simple and easily applied explanation for the gaps we see in the otherwise wide spectrum of automated dependence that assist us in nearly every industry on the planet. There's a very simple, primal truth to it. We like things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys. And we like things that are damn near indistinguishable from the living, like whatever name Noble's latest products are being sold under. But there are deep, deep trenches between these two ends, where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. The Uncanny Valley will no doubt remain a useful tool for teaching marketing and design for generations to come. But already we are seeing ways in which it fails. It is becoming increasingly clear to us that the space between nearly indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever suspected, and it may not be the only part of the map that we must fear. I propose that we bridge these gaps in knowledge by looking to them, the speculative fiction of Robert J. Sullivan, who, in his most well-known work, Equal Under One Sky, described a concept which thereafter has been called Sullivan's Peak. Through the lens of his characters and their so very divided world, Sullivan demonstrated that the Uncanny Valley does in fact have its own peak on the other side, a point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable. More difficulties and more difficult and more fraught with moral pitfalls. Once you reach Sullivan's Peak, traveling any further only has diminishing returns. The implications of this idea are far-reaching, which we will soon reach a point at which the designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable, a hard stopping point for technological progress. What then, we must ask? Oh, looks like you forgot to sign into this device. Drop your thumbprint below and we'll get you squared away so you can keep reading. So this is really just saying that, like, we can make androids too close to people. But if they're too close to people, if they're not uncanny enough, then this is just slippery slope for personhood, right? That they're saying that, like, oh, if we make them too perfect, what's going to separate them from actual people? Which, again, nothing. They're actual people. They are just people. But we have to constantly define somewhere to legislate them as not people, clearly. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as gag, or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be. Wary of it. If the peak does exist, they'll be coming up on it fast now that androids are warm. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry, could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cruel. What do you mean, start? If Sarah's any indication of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. It's amazing what you can get people used to with enough just saying, oh, it's normal. Oh, it's normal. They're just people. I mean, like, this is similar to how a lot of people feel about the meat industry, right? It's like, if you hide enough of the process away from people, they start forgetting that, like, meat comes from somewhere. Feels like I've seen this before. That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer, Nanofacturer for short. A real high quality piece of machinery, each of them built in-house by Randok Mechanics. What does it do? Nano-level flash fab. Flash fabrication. A method of manufacturing artificial microscopic compounds that utilize parallel nesting to assemble billions of simple structures in minutes or even seconds. Nanomachines have been around for the better part of a century. But the time and resources required for their construction through traditional means was historically prohibitively expensive, limiting exploration and investment in nanotech. In the years since Flash Fab's introduction, use and demand for nanomachines have exploded, and scientists, doctors, and product designers have found brand new niches for them across every industry. Concerns about the ecological impact of the surge in nanomachine construction have been raised, though the official stance of the Nanolife Industrial Lobbying Group has remained unwavering. Nothing that small can possibly leave that big of an ecological footprint. Good God. At a certain point, it's just not tongue-in-cheek anymore, and it's just like, this is where we live now. It's already here. Ugh. Yay, cyberpunk, yippee, woo! I think Morgan should start killing more people. I think Emma should get a nice, cushy government job. And that way Morgan can go around killing senators. Basically a 3D printer for nanomachines. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids. The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. So what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, building blocks. They feed into the nanoprinter and it assembles the machines particle by particle. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple nucleic acids. Must be time-consuming. You would think, but Randock cracked the code on parallel microfacturing. The inside's crystalline, sprawling, like an ant's nest. Raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution. Distilled nectar swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar? It's sticky? It can be, depending on the desired output, but the door vacuum seals it while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips that David could have just brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own, for some reason. Nanofacturer. A machine capable of assembling organic or inorganic compounds and even nanomachines after just 2 minutes of vacuum-sealed mixing. Found at Noble's factory show floor, machines just like it are used throughout the production process of making their warm androids. Emma should get a nice cushy girlfriend. And her name is Evangeline Morgan. Well done? You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring. Can you have it step into the scanner? As he says. Understood. Right then. What are we looking at here? She's so teeny, look at her! Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here. We theorized that it might have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. Oh, she's like, why are they talking about me like this? She's so cute. I hope they didn't do some horrific nanoprinting stuff to David. Yeah, it's possible. Would that even show up on toxicology? I don't think it would. Especially if it's organic. The body would probably process it really. Like, well, would the body process it after he dies, or would it... What language is that on the screen? Tess. You know, Tesseract. All Noble products, and, well, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in Tess. Tesseract, noun, a programming language for modern automated dependence. Tess 4.6 is the latest version of the Tesseract programming language, built on top of the Tenet system and utilized in industries around the globe to code the software that allows androids, robots, holograms, and more to react to their environment intelligently and with intention. At the start of the century, there was a much greater variety in the number of programming languages available from which to code. Globalization, the standardization of industry procedures, and the gradual erasure of many spoken languages. Good God. No. Oh no. Contributed to the loss of countless programming languages during the mid-21st century. Today, Tess is virtually unchallenged as the global lingua franca programming language, the study and teaching of other older programming languages, mostly done for recreation, hobby, or digital archaeology. What a nightmare planet. It's too real is the problem. Easy to read and write, stay compliant. Now, this model, what's it go by? Sarah. This Sarah model. It's got everything the 16th line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing, and emoting. Oh, she can emote real good. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like, in the idea phases. Solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances, data storage is so large I can't... No. Wow, he had to measure it using... Hell of a poker face. Oh, wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's... hacking? What? Hacking? Essentially. She was surprised by that, too. Does that mean it could hack its own tenets? Tenet. Showing results for Tenet Supersystem, a programming framework underlying the development of all modern automated dependent software. Any and all contemporary supported programming languages are built upon the Tenet system, allowing users to designate a series of inviolable priorities for their code to pursue. Once added to a program, a tenet cannot be circumvented under any traditional circumstances, and even then, only if a tenet with a higher weight supersedes it. Tenets were first adopted in the field of computer science as a trio of 3 priorities that governed how preserving human life, obeying human commands, and avoiding damage to human property should be prioritized. Since then, the number of supported tenets has ballooned to 113, most of them requested by lobbyists in the insurance industry. Yeah, I bet. Looking to better define relative financial value. Tenets are well known for increasing the decision time lag of programs. This, combined with their engineered inflexibility, has made it such that most programmers aim for a tenet limit below 30. Originally, the one tenet that could not be removed from any program was Tenet Safety 0, aka Tenet 0 or Tenet 1. Said tenet dictated the following program could not produce outcomes that result in harm to a living person. After decision reached in the People vs. Stance defense contractors and the resulting widespread adoption of automated dependence in the military and industry sectors, this is no longer required. Though Tenet 0 may still be added to particularly benign or mundane software as a good luck charm, superstitious ritual, or joke. My fucking microwave has Tenet 0 on it. Why did they do this to me? This is the new, my washing machine has to connect to Wi-Fi. Oh, no, that's unthinkable. Literally for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic, or dropping a baby, or being a serial killer. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean there are androids? Well, no, there aren't crazy androids, so yeah. I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems. The industry line is such that a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through firewalls and encryption of... Sarah has no tenets. The chat is filtering the swears. No! Sarah has no tenets, and yeah, I think it's possible. Every once in a while, the chat just like stops updating for me, and I have to reload the window on my phone. It sucks. YouTube. Maybe I have to be using an app or something, or have a second monitor to really have it go well. But you know, breaking through firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeletal setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a consumer model. What the gently caress? There we go! Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars. It would depend on the center of gravity. Lady, this Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. I see where you're force femming this person. We had a fun time this morning explaining to someone how force femming worked. She was very into the idea of it. Those stomping behemoths, they bring out her riot suppression. And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says that it can't be right. That can't be right. Look, Dawes, I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software and metadata. Who worked on it and when? Right, okay. No, keep saying nice things about her, she likes it. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah or when. Any chance you can restore those logs? Not here, not with this machine. I need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any ideas where those would be? Sarah? I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. I had a feeling you might say that. Odds on that, right? Sarah could wrestle me and come out on top. Yeah, you don't weigh more than a military police suppression robot. And also, yeah, same. I would kiss her too. Sorry, I can tell you that the code is unique. There's hints of A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just... Dr. Asher, whoever, took very different paths to get here. Nora, luckily you missed all of the horrific, things they're doing with robots and the amount of humanity they give them. I weigh between 3 to 5 apples heavy. Wow, same! I'm 3 to 5 cubic apples in density. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside. Sorry, I didn't expect to hit a dead end there. Not at all. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally, we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know? Ew! Never mind, you missed most of it. Oven. Gross. She should kill this guy. He's not her type, but she should kill this guy. I mean, he's not doing anything. This is just his job. But she should kill him. Oh god. We'll make you one special. Disgusting. Alright, a few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation Sarah? We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Never mind. Sarah will do fine. Don't give him the excuse of just his job. He's doing this job. Yeah, no, she should kill him. This job is awful. This company is terrible. Is this worse than Penny indiscriminately murdering employees on whims? Because they're not making her enough money? Put your answer in the comments. Oh, God. Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian model. Address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Yeah, this is way worse. Penny isn't, like, running a breeding facility for her own workers. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do you want to reset the factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. Not right now. God, he really does not consider her a person in any fucking way. We gotta kill him! We gotta kill him! This guy's gotta die. If only there is some kind of famed serial killer in this room. Hang on, what was that? I mentioned Penny and breeding in the same sentence, and she goes fucking bananas. Last thing then is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenets here. Nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself. Guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. It used to be they only had 3 tenants total, and every unit had to have them. And then came the first accidents, and the first lawsuits, and the hearings, and the legislature, and the demand for more tenants. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenant stating that ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. And there was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during a risk assessment. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their asses covered, customers wanted guarantees, there was never much incentive to deny a requested tenant, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. Buddy, it would be better for you if you lost your job. Seriously. You cannot do this morally. You just can't. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenets, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. Maybe war has changed. Don't worry, he's changing it from the inside. I can change him from the inside. Morgan, where's your gun? It's not very romantic. Sorry, is there romance in programming literal servants for people? Well, not like I was on the jury. Department of Advanced Defense Projects v. Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's request and set a new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet. Changing tenets from a mandated list to the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny. Ads with the most tenets, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenant counts are just vacuuming floors. Is there romance in programming a person? Let's ask the HypnoKink fans. Oh, are there HypnoKink fans in the room with us? Who among us isn't, honestly? That feels different still. There's a difference between taking away someone's humanity. Okay, the disclaimer up front. I'm talking about, like, fiction. Don't do this to actual people unless they ask you to do it. There's a difference between doing that and, like, never considering someone human in the first place. No, you are just being funny. I just wanna not fall into a big pit. I want people to know that I understand the shit I'm into. The most impressive ones, like what you've got here, falls somewhere in the middle. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. The only thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had a very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. I just want to not fall into a big pit. You've changed. I'm finding another streamer. I'm playing a visual novel. I can't fall into a hole in this game. Well, I can go in the hole because it's a gambling game, so I guess we're just gonna make Morgan lose everything. Wow. I mean, I knew it was custom, but what price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits. You should know these formula are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even. If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number... Oh, I hope they actually show us the number. Sarah valuation. A valuation of the android Sarah's financial value by an insurance algorithm takes into account the fact that Sarah is the only known android made by David Asher, the last known piece of tech he worked on, the fact he's now deceased and cannot create any more, and the fact that Sarah is one of a kind, the value of the components used in her construction, and the potential profits reaped from the experimental technology contained within her totals to $1 more gillion. I had to keep that. It's so funny. And try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. How does it feel being a genius, Fleur? You spoke differently back there. With Dawes, you spoke like he did, it seemed. Like I copied his accent. You seemed to mirror his affect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It was just an observation. I feel narcotic. Good. You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Why were you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Morgan? For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop, or even just a well-placed camera, could have spotted your barcode and seen it wasn't set up with any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have... thrown me in the slammer? No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker. And an android can't get arrested? People can get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such... Morgan, counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? Vice President of Android Futures, Helen Young. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very convenient. Forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle. I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate. Oh, she's so naive. I love her. Or just let the elevator drop. Penny would do it. Penny would kill her in a snap. God, I hope Penny shows up in a future chapter. I don't think she will, but I want her to. I love that woman. Bailey might. Bailey might. That would be interesting. Executive Office. Young. There she is. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long. I always liked this time of day. Not too muggy for you. No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Young. Just Miss is fine. Miss Young, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you. No, I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process... Yeah, it doesn't work great on phones, unfortunately. The company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone. Have you considered getting an evil AI to handle everything? She would handle it. Do you think she has kids? Maybe. Very insistent on the miss. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him. Trying to be helpful or trying to control the narrative? He was great. But that might mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over. And every person I speak to. Yes, and the lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android. It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly. Got all the phases memorized. It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. You have no place to talk about being nuts about your work, Morgan. It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently. David asked you to take it? I've been told you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. That's a fucking lie. Bears Helen Young's DNA and fingerprints. No trace of any poison. No fucking way that's true. Helen Young. Birth date, December 9th. 166 centimeters, 59 kilograms, AB positive blood type. Occupation, VP of Android Futures at Noble Electronics. Likes red meat, flower gardens, high thread counts. Dislikes working from home, shopping online, and waiting. Languages. Fluent in 3. How many even exist at this point anymore? Enjoys attending baseball games. Hidden talent. Getting children to stop crying. She might have kids. Really? Obviously. There aren't that many people that David would bother meeting with in person. Mommy coded confirmed. Let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Young is his superior, on paper, if not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. and they're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy, given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually, you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. Her outfit is really cool. I like that asymmetrical coat kind of deal. This is an Anon Tokyo original. I can tell. It's because it's cut in half. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is I simply don't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake. No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all the consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't we start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night. Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly. He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person? We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited, he let me in, and we talked. About the good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Miss Young, putting a number on it. It doesn't sound that long ago, but it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels. We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later, that he would be dead. That he would commit— oh, sorry, that's not Morgan. That he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? Quarter before 8, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down into the basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. Oh my god, people is that— the people's suffering is increasing! You tried to wake him. He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem— I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No. I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor, as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with them to the hospital, I take it? Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So did David's, for all the good it did him. You think it's an allergy? It probably isn't an allergy, right? I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point. But I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as the time passed, and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here, said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David. No, I guess it doesn't. CCA. The Cups. History of Noble. LA 16. Sarah. You said CCA standard operating procedure a moment ago. What is that? CCA stands for Counter Corporate Espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense. You understand? So Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned. They give us all kinds of CCA training. Hello? Hello? No. Sanders, we're gonna stretch. Ready? Hello? Hello? Are you happy? No, you will sit here. How did you do that? You didn't even touch anything. You're so strange. No, just sit. It's comfy. Be polite. No. Come here. They give us all kinds of CCA training. Subtly, of course, usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. Look at how slippery she's trying to be. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops? No. No, you can go back there. Come here. Oh. No, I dropped my phone. She's sabotaging me. Come here, silly. Murder is fairly rare at our level. More likely, they'll want us too sick for work. Let us drain company resources and in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources. Oh my god, she's perfect. That's nothing compared to what they want to turn into Asa. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady, or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. Sarah's just losing her mind. It's a nasty line of work. Consulting. I'm sorry. That's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I met at a cocktail party was actually... It depends. Did they say they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting? How the hell am I supposed to remember? So do you people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get David for years. And that's the timescale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. And they'd probably have struck first. I've been curious about ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups? There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice, her actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't either back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors. Their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating. The two of them made the one-point doctrine? That's not the story I've heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I've heard from David himself. We have this deadline self-imposed, but still, a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. The clock hit. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even zombies start heading home. I turn to David and tell him it's not gonna happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. And he looked at me like I'm the only other person on the sinking boat and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got all night until his end of the day." We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping the harsh light would give us some energy to work through the next day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I had been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, but together, David and we had finally gotten a win. So David asks if I've got anything to drink. It's cough drop time. I've got a bottle of some swill in a cabinet at my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. Says he wants to toast. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. Oh, they look so cute. Excuse me, miss, I need to move your tail slightly. Yeah, I need to plug something into my computer. Thank you for opening the log for me. Hey, come here. Come here. Cinderella. Hey. Miss Fluffy Feet. David's the gayest looking individual I've ever seen. Toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. She's really cute. I love her hairstyle. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor. That was our little ritual. It's worrying that these are part of the fucking, evidence. That's terrifying. CC, Counter-Corporate Espionage, playbook of aggressive defensive tactics for everything from public life to personal security, intended to help high-value members of a corporate body minimize risks to themselves and the company. Frequently involves the use of double talk and coded language, including hiding the training as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. Individuals at or above David Asher and Helen Young's receive training in it multiple times a year. Young's story. David Asher and Helen Young started at Noble at the same time and position. Oh no, I know some of it's red herrings, but like, the fact that it's possible scares me. If it's not a red herring, terrifying. What? What are you grumpy about? She is so grumpy, look at her. How can she be grumpy like this? Oh. How can she be grumpy when I'm giving her chin scritchies? They would often toast their hard-won victories with cheap liquor and plastic cups in commemoration of their first big win, convincing Noble Electronics to adopt what would become known as the one-point doctrine approach to Android manufacturing, emphasizing quality over quantity. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us. She's grumpy because I'm not scritching her enough. As VP of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you? That's correct. Didn't you join the company at around the same time? David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing a corporate politics game. So was he unpopular around here? Not unpopular, no, not the great Dr. David Asher. Misunderstood, perhaps. How so? He could be blunt, demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just not everyone could work at the same pace he did, for as long as he did. Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David? Speaking of which, I don't see any at Young's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So you would say that his work-life balance was... balance implies the two are at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company. Ugh, disgusting. Fascinating. So was he in harmony? No, David always had plenty of suitors, but he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on that subject. Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. Scandalous. I love Sarah so much. Oh my god. She's so cute. I want to adopt her. The A16 only entered production this year, correct? Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday, and we began shipping in the first quarter. I understand you were instrumental in the success of Warm Androids. I played my part supervising the launch, yes. Weren't you the one who designed Cinetonin? The factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts. I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, Cinetonin was little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it. Took the reins? He was lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. And he designed the synthetic nerves that made all of it possible. Great Bond villain camera angle on Cinderella, by the way. Thank you. David did all of that. And that's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields? Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15? No. He used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon, he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas, and eventually they came to follow his lead. Just like that. Just like that. So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments. That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Asher was. Maybe they weren't paying him enough. He wanted to make Sarah. He wanted to have a daughter! The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years. So this android, Sarah. Even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems? You going? You gonna go get some water, baby? Do you want me to move these so you can actually, like, get off of the fucking desk once in a while? Oh, okay. Cool. I guess. You wanna call on the pillow now? I'm afraid not. Did David ever... Oh, jeez, there's a cat. Come here. Well, we got her pouting again. I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet? No, he never gave me any indication like that. And if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice. He never mentioned me? No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card? The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anyone. Not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s. Just a figure of speech. She's so disappointed! She wants to deliver mail. She wants to put things in pneumatic tubes. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record. But no one would deny Dr. David Asher information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. I don't understand it. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal. Except the hacking stuff. She's so cute. She's so cute. I need to give her a hug. I need to be her friend. So why keep it secret? I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results. No, don't say that to her! She's so proud of herself. Could be. Young's cup, a plastic cup with a small amount of whiskey left in it, found upright on the dining table at the scene of the crime. Saliva and fingerprints match Helen Young. Contains no traces of foreign elements. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you. A difficult day for all of us. A message from Fran. I'm running out of leads to chase. The brat better have good news. Young's statements made to the police corroborated by security footage. She arrived at 7:30 p.m. and remained on camera until 8:03 p.m. Young spoke with David Asher in his parlor before he left to retrieve liquor. I think this is... yeah. We've been over this. Are you really going to take this to court? That's my plan. Sorry for the voice crack. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of. And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide? I guess I haven't decided what I believe. Would you kindly slow the hell down? She said the thing, everyone! Yay, BioShock! I'm sorry, Morgan. Was I walking too quickly for you? That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different. Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like the Zhen Zhao? She's so amazing. Just let me catch my breath for a minute. Morgan, is it possible that you are out of shape? I really hope that's the actual line number. Oh. No. But since we left the cab, your heart rate is... I'm not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes. Is that so? Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun's reaching its zenith. That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temp? You said it would be a short walk from the street level, so I prepared myself mentally for a short walk. You going? No, I patted her on the head, so she's coming back. I see. And how does that make you feel, Cinderella? She's such a dork. This is what she... The liar! And then you took off like a rocket. I Bye, baby. Have fun. And you didn't mention we'd have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here? The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it. Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me someone from the city orchestra or jazz club. She's just lying on the floor like she's dead. Oh, she's looking at me now. You're so silly. I love you. She's lying back down. I love my cat. The champagne food and the teacup kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of the town. It should be in view if we turn. Morgan, be careful. Of what? It's a stray, and it's bearing its fangs, too. It could be carrying diseases. You should... She's having a tantrum. Oh, baby. Jules will be back tomorrow. Relax. Morgan, it's growling. It's not growling at me. See? So it's just me it doesn't like. Too much static. How did you get it to calm down? It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm. Do you like animals? What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals? I think every ragdoll is princess-coded. She's so cute. I love her flops. She just flops so good. Do you have a pet? No, never have. Why not? Because I don't want to take care of a pet. That seems counterintuitive to me. Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. But... you notice you're the only this talkative when it's just the two of us? Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety? It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today, I have rarely been addressed directly by people other than you. In other words, you're shy. That is not what I... Can I try petting it? There's no law against it. I would know. I'm a lawyer. Ultraviolets. Sorry, ultra_violets. This is the establishment. Now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims. Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met? I think he was close with him, yeah. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of the interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two, last night. So they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together? That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate? The song's called I Love Crepes. Morgan, it's only... Wait, hold on. I need to do this line read. 1 second. Inappropriate? Morgan, it's only sex. I'm getting a very important text message from my private investigator. Excuse me. Apparently texting with Brat. What I want to be is a toy. Did you catch the killer yet? No. What the hell? I sent you his I sent you his position. I'm at his position. Uika! I haven't spoken to Porter yet. My head's cut off a little, thank you. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now. Lame. Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Asher a corporate sellout in your eyes? Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Asher gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect. That's almost sweet, I think. Asher started out working in Cube. So, in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like, I don't know. As a kid, he built all of his bricks by hand. Or something. You know, that lit homework can help with forming analogies. Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. I take it Cube is a programming language. What's special about it? Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically. But not Cube. You can look it up. But basically, Cube was originally for robotics and, like, machinery. Stuff that had to go operate in mines. Under the ocean. Morgan's fat libraries. Who said that? Middle of nowhere fields with zero signal service. So Cube had to be self-sufficient. How rugged. Where'd Asher learn Cube anyway? It's older than dirt. From like the 40s. I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something. Vague. Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family. And I never asked. What did your private investigator have to say on tonight? Oh, sorry. Not telling. What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview? Well, let's read it, Morgan. Exclusive sit down with luxury. You've heard her name on everyone's lips. You've seen her face in magazines and commercials and then double checked to make sure the photos weren't labeled as edited. Now get all your burning questions about her answered here in our exclusive interview with a mysterious young woman who's being called, in perhaps the only truly unanimous vote the net's ever seen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Why the name? People think it's an ego thing, but it was just a random username I picked back when I was grassroots. Then it was a pseudonym to give me a little shade from all the attention. Now it's a brand, and I can't change it without setting the stock market into a spin, so... You're certainly influential. After partnering with you, Inti saw 3,000 increase in share price. Yay, I'm happy for them, of course. But to be honest, it's a pain in times like this. She gestures towards her clothes, a plain white t-shirt and gym shorts with no branding visible. On anyone else, it might seem sloppy or even unflattering. On her, it only makes her natural beauty stand out that much more. Who are you wearing, by the way? Can't wear anyone unless I'm attending something. If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars every time I leave the house. Does it stress you, all that attention? Stress is bad for your skin, right? They say mine's flawless. Can't argue with that. So you have a skincare routine? Any tips you like to share? Be a little bratty, act a little spoiled, keeps you young. And how old are you exactly? Everyone's dying to know. 18 to 29, now and forever. Don't get stuck on a cliffhanger like that. Hurry, log in below so you can read the rest. Quickly, time's running out. Well, however old she is or isn't, Luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. Might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe. It's one hell of a face. In the meantime, she's powerful. Sunrises are too meteoric even for the Megs to grab the reins on. At this point, Luxury's got them at her mercy. She can send their stocks into disarray with one selfie. Good for her. Oh, I hope that's a tease for a character that shows up in the future. Or, you know, someone Heartbreak is gonna kill for some reason. She's 31. The age of 30 is in demand. The stage for the talent. Pretty close to the floor. Because it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark once you get past the bouncer. Do you think they might have met here? David and Porter. I can't see David walking in here. Because you found the walk so challenging? Because it's too loud to relax. And not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You got an opinion to share? The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite... I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like? Early 21st century punk rock? She's an avid MyGo listener. Is that just you, or does that go for all androids? I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they'd say that the music peaked with early 21st century punk. Sorry. If they're smart, they'd say that music peaked with early 21st century punk rock. Debate settled. She's the best beepo in the world. A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste and the gap between chewing and swallowing. Oh man, bars have really gone downhill in the future, huh? So you can, like, eat things? Yes, I can. What, like android food? There is no such product. So what do androids eat? Online user guides for Noble Swarm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes. Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drinks and energy bars. And charger separation anxiety. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets if they need to forgo electrical charging long-term. Processed pellets? You mean like kibble? Like dog food? No, it's not like dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? It seems that you can. How is this something you have to look up anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef, never hydroponic avocados, foie gras. Oh my god, this kid's eating foie gras. Cube. Noun, defunct mid-21st century programming language. Cube was a tier 5 programming language commonly used in mid-21st century robotics. Intended to support robust behavior trees and low data stream environments, its design philosophy emphasized lean, goal-oriented learning that would not be reliant on the bloated libraries and always online API popularized in the 2030s. Roseau Fluff, real name unknown, first began working on Cube in 2044 as part of a student robotics project. Cube 0.9 released in 2045, and by 2048, Cube 3.1 had already found itself embedded in robotics engineering across the globe. Despite having what is considered a relatively high barrier to entry in user knowledge and execution, Cube gained widespread popularity, particularly among disaffected communities in third world countries where internet access would remain unreliable for the next 2 decades as regional conflicts would continue. Infamously, Contra fighter engineers utilized Cube during the 27-day siege to seize mechanized weapons from peacekeeping forces in a cyber warfare operation that is frequently cited as a key reason to why the siege lasted as long as it did. Cube has not been developer supported since 2063 and is considered a defunct programming language. Because much of its documentation was never ported from the old net and due to its incompatibility with tenets, there is little to no corporate interest on the ongoing grassroots digital archaeology effort to archive it. Showing results for Never Hydroponic food sourcing. Never Hydroponic is a movement calling for sourcing food exclusively from farms utilizing natural sunlight. Lobbyists for the movement have made unsubstantiated claims about superior taste and nutritional value, but the label is yet to receive official state recognition, and thus the presence of the food term or terms like it on food packaging carries no weight and is not backed by any legal guarantee. One of a number of food sourcing movements that arose in the latter half of the 21st century as rising sea levels reduced the total amount of arable land around the world and shifted the global agricultural industry toward hydroponics and vertical farms, rural skyscrapers where each floor is utilized for food production, saving on real estate costs and reducing the impact of unstable weather on agricultural output. So... that sort of thing. I am not paying for any of that. I am not paying for any of that. Okay, yeah, that's him alright. Looks like he's killing time before sets tonight. Are you unsure how to proceed, Morgan? I'm not sure you need to hang back. As for me, I'll play it straight. Isaac Porter. What's up? My name's Morgan. I'm David's friend. Right now I'm his lawyer. Can we talk? Depends. Were you a friend from work? No. Over here. Thanks, Isaac. Don't think me mad. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend? I'm his defense attorney. Think you missed the bus on that then, yeah? And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Isaac Porter, date of birth September 18th, height 183 centimeters, weight 86 kilograms, blood type B positive, occupation musician, bassist, likes itineraries. Did I say bassist? Like the fucking fish? Bassist. Likes itineraries, grilling, champagne. Dislikes resistance training, producers, and ads. The best at gift giving, the worst at folding laundry. Fave quote, I don't do requests. And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks. You might not have seen him, but we both know you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died. How the hell? Isaac, it's pretty obvious you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary. So why don't we cut to the chase? No lies, no playing coy. Fine. Sarah? Yes, Morgan? The hell? Is that thing transmitting? I am not streaming any data, no. Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court. Fine. You two work together, is that correct? We work together. I ended it yesterday. Care to elaborate on our entire relationship? Look, you can tell me everything once and I can get it on record, or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months. We met in a bar. I had seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth, but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off. scribbling on napkins and letting a single gin and tonic sweat onto the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes. And he'd still sit there with the rest of the night, unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night, things were slow, and my set had been canceled, and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse for bailing, so I asked him why he insisted on coming here night after night. Just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, "Because I like your music." Man, did that tick me off. It was cute early on. Him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever. Until there was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point I started to understand where his priorities were and how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. And I just wrongly assumed he would also be that passionate about me at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. Oh my god, you're so whiny. Hi, whiny girl. Come here. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset. He'd just apologize. Up we go! Hi. Come on, silly. Come here. Good girl. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset. He'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. It was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights, not giving a shit when people walked away, and still, I had this stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. And that I would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it. Last night, I called him and didn't expect he'd pick up. I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or an ad or whatever. But he answered, first ring, without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. And all that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he had made me feel in the past few months. I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Asher. And what did he say? He apologized. And then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him. Huh? Whoa. I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped up and warm to stand for him in his coldness. He had made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning, I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much of a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? And now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Asher over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking for too much. It's yet to be determined whether David commits suicide. You're serious. You don't have all the facts. And you do. Any one of them point to anything else? Thought so. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it. That's it. No summons. The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that. The court, huh? Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive. Yeah, thanks. And your range is remarkable. So, it pained me to see that all your works in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think... Well, what the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the right words? Need to steal them from somewhere first, butcher them before shitting them back out? I was not trained on any data sets that... Nah. Pardon me, my mistake. Really. Not your fault you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century. Sarah, we're leaving. What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression I was programmed using a massive automated learning model in early 21st century. Not that. Why did you talk to him? I wanted to. I just felt I should say something to him. A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on a parched tongue. It doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. Ugh. You know a lot about people, don't you, Morgan? Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Ugh. Come on, there's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there's only one place I could find it at this point. Penthouse basement. The basement? You sure you don't want another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive, flip the chessboard and all that. Haven't you ever read a mystery novel like Umineko? I've seen mystery films, like the 2056 adaptation of Umineko. Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Asher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Now, how did that poison get into his bloodstream? I wasn't looking at the screen. I nearly choked on my drink. I'm glad I'm that good at improv. She name dropped Umineko? I did a good job. He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. And if he inhaled it? Inhaled it? Why? Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering my question. I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right, an airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area. And no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we're left is oral intake. Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Morgan? Young's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. And the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup. The results were inconclusive. Young was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude then that David's cup alone was poisoned. That seems logical, and consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0. David left the parlor and came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Young told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story, which means he came down here to get them. So we have to conclude, then, that he got them both from this bar? Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? The police have been in here since we left. According to their ARCS files, they didn't find anything that matches the poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup, then. I need to flip this around again. But if you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back to... If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? Sarah being proud of 5 points was so good. She just wants her point. From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So, if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have had a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But, Morgan, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. My points. My points. I think there are. What do you mean? This whole building is coded head to toe in Penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on every floor, it's all plugged into Penumbra. Except that. And that panel is manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse? I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. You mean signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before? It's illegal and unnecessary. Father would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purposes of record keeping, yes. I've gotten past the 64-digit code, and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's wall and ceilings. As you theorized, they are on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to, if not the penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. A false wall in the back of a safe. I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have hidden a system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me. He was brilliant and more than a little odd. Throwing a little money in odd becomes eccentric. I see. I think? I don't. What the hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... I'm sure. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. I think he figured out she's heartbreak. And I also don't think he figured out what her MO is. What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? What makes you sure he wasn't exercising? Did you ever see him use any of that crap? No, but he must have used the weights when I wasn't looking. Since he promised me he'd take better care of his health. Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like these, even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure, Morgan. Pardon. The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the Global Donkey Bank on the Frederiksberg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and he wants his gym bag filled with arm-marked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings. But the man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive, dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to police afterwards, the teller only had this to say. That man was all muscle. The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident, and the man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene, when suddenly, his suitcase explodes. But it's just a smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis. Acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right. Dissociative identity disorder. And so great was the disparity between his two alters that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So, be careful what you say a man like Father can't do just because of how he looks on the outside. I love her little squiggly face. I know, she's a baby. She doesn't understand how DID works, though. Sarah, every single word you just said was false. Huh? Don't believe everything you read on the net. Second L, ninth circle. I feel like unless you know people who, like, it's hard to really shake the, like, stigma around these sorts of mental illness. God, it feels awful even calling it mental illness, you know? Even that's just gotten so, like... I feel gross calling it that, but, like... Before, when they were, like, talking about psychosis and stuff, it's like... It's really hard to beat that programming if you're not, like, actively trying to do it, you know? It sucks. It fucking sucks. She needs to stop reading creepypastas. So is that the original? It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least she didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see? I see a meeting. Or perhaps an encounter. Two apex forces of nature, two kings of the forest, the stag and the tiger. I think? Great, I'm officially less cultured than a robot. The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. Oh, my head was cut off because I wanted to have Cinders on camera when she was sitting in my lap, but she left. No poison to be found here. Well, not that kind of poison anyway. In which case, can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have... She wants to drink so bad. Give her a cocktail, Morgan, please. Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever? Technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up, maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder. This is a rolling ladder, a kind of step ladder, not a ladder. What? Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out. And it's important to know the distinction. I'd bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again, ever. Chekhov's ladder, I guess. What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack must have been created during my most recent hibernation. Oh, did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over in the same spot? Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially, though a bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Got it open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It is a Tethys basic Stratocure. Oh no, Penny has to do it! Penny has to do it! The anti-hack feature in the name is real? It's a closed system, Morgan. The hell am I supposed to do now? Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters. I don't follow. When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. And he made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning this is the door that only I can open. Well, time to stick your fingers in her mouth. Again. Or, I mean the door's mouth. It'll be a 6-character password. Some combination of numbers or letters. Heartbreak is too many letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that are revolved around a 6-letter word? Evangeline is also too long. Nothing comes to mind. Is there a code word that he knew only I could learn? Heartbreak's too long. Evangeline's too long. Killer? Oh my god. It might be... I think Morgan might be a little too easy. No dice. Could it be your birthday or his? If David set the password to something as dumb as that, I'd never forgive him. As you say, Morgan. No, he would have picked a code whose significance was only obvious after the fact. That didn't work either. Perhaps a deep breath would help you refocus, Morgan. It's not like I'm taking a multiple choice test, Sarah. Either I know the answer or I don't. I see. So, do you know the answer, Morgan? I'm getting there. No. Don't get discouraged, Morgan. I'm not. I can feel it on the tip of my tongue. Really, Morgan? Or the back of my mind? Don't give up, Morgan. Or echoing in my ears like a ringing I can't quite... What, now you clam up? I thought some quiet might help us all. It's opening. What was the password, Morgan? You'd never guess. I think Killer would have been funnier. Just saying. It did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here, and it all makes sense. It's a panic room. Scary. A panic room is a place for which rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. And they're typically not even on the blueprints. There's a panic room behind your bed. Oh no, I should panic. I'm in the panic room. She's so beepo! So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. Fleur Sweep, I'm so smart. Literally because I wasn't saying it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Ugh. It would have been funny if I did ladder, though. That would have been really fucking funny. Make sure you're capturing all of this. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visual, sound, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human, and some canines. So does it smell stale in here to you? Stale? It does to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone here visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console is password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, and a half-ton Android, and a secret phrase? If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. You're looking for camera footage? I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for video files. They'll probably be time-stamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. And the most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday, at around 4 p.m. You were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at that time is David himself. Alright, let's see it then. Of course, it's just that I am having difficulty. Try double-clicking. I have been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, Morgan. But they are encrypted. Damn it, David. You leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your computer? What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Shit. If David Asher handwrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could... Hey, Was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special? Morgan, Can you break his encryption, yes or no? With enough time. And how much time would that be? I would estimate it at 2 to 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes so long as the work required is rote. So you're doing it in the back of your head. Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery? I have copied the encrypted files and will work on them as we travel. We can leave whenever you're ready. Sarah's sweet. She's the best. She's the best, she's the best, she's the best. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far. I mean, he's clearly just saying you have to... I need Sarah to prove that I was murdered. Like, maybe he's setting up a test for her. Is this whole thing a fucking test for his daughter? Good God, what a nightmare. And the computers aren't the only thing in here. The cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. He has a book that's just called Workaholic. Personally, I think it was The Golden Witch. Lots of paperwork, bonds and holdings, a platinum bar. His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Asher's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. Noble's logo on the front, in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. And they're masking it in legalese even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. David's contract, a binder containing the employment contract with Noble Electronics, details for compensation, grounds for dismissal, definitions for what constitutes a breach of contract, and how arbitrations would be handled. Not a light read. David's binder for his massive libraries, his double Ds. Hold on to this for me. It must be very important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy. Was there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up. It is a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corner-yield murder mystery. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of... There is something else. Your papers. That Evangeline Morgan will be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah. It's dated a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why'd he hide it where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Well, at least we've got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. Sarah's papers, a written document declaring that Evangeline Morgan is to be given absolute ownership of the android Sarah, effective immediately, signed and dated by David Asher over 2 weeks ago. A tax-free transaction. Fortunately. She's a public defender. She does not make much money. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item, she's blushing. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are, but Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings, unless I have something like this. It's good you do then. I'm glad Father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah, this'll get me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying. All colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. You can cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. And there's an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. But I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. And the upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Morgan. That is where we'll stop for the night. As soon as it lets me save. Not much money indeed. I don't know if it actually saved. Seems like it's loading the loading screen. Alright, that is gonna be it for me for tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I will see you next week back on Twitch. Hopefully as long as I'm right about the boycott, and if not, I will get back to everyone about it. But, yeah, I'll see you next week for more Majora's Mask and more of the Devil. I hope you all have a great weekend, get some sleep, and drink water, and I'll see you next time. Bye!